Thanks to the supporters of channel member Matt Roberts. Another phase of what I consider to be our season-long revenge tour. Barcelona thumped us in the Champions League last year and kind of set the tone for the rest of the tournament. We head to Barcelona again. This year, hopefully, no thumpings. Hello and welcome to Club 3, part 24 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have that Champions League game against Barcelona, and then we're also going away to tycoon-rich Torino as well. Since you were last with me, we've played a bunch of games. I think the last match we had in an episode was against Real Madrid. Did I mention we beat Bayern Munich 8-0? All the more satisfying because they're managed by the former Inter manager and they used this horrible system. And it turns out maybe Inter, as well as using the horrible system, also had a whole load of incredible players. Although, this Bayern team is no slouches, although some of them are getting a little bit old now. But the system that we originally started building to counter that Inter Milan team really can counter that tactic, it turns out. 8-0. What a lovely, lovely match that was. And then we followed that up with a 4-0, a 4-0 and a 5-0 in the Bundesliga. And I was chuckling to myself until we lost to Union Berlin. And we've lost our chance at an invincible season again, which is really frustrating. We've lost it earlier this year than we did last year, but no invincible season coming. The fact that Bayern are only 1 point behind us and we beat them 8-0 is an interesting little situation. We also lost to Fiorentina in the Champions League as well. And I was getting a little bit worried that the wheels might be coming off after these high points. But we returned with a 3-0 win against Leverkusen in Bundesliga and a draw with Leipzig in the league, and then beat Schalke to get revenge on them from last year, and another win against Hamburg, which means we are, after 12 games, top of the league, 29 points on the board. Emil Hiskey is our top scorer, so it's lovely to have him back in the goals. And Champions League-wise, we're going to be fine getting into the knockout rounds. There's a little bit of work to do to get us into the top 8, though, and avoid that playoff round. And that work is going to be happening in this episode, because away to Barcelona and Torino are two big, difficult games. Barcelona are third in La Liga, but are the current reigning La Liga champions. So they're certainly really quite good. And Torino, as mentioned before, although they're fourth in Serie A is a very, very strong league in this universe. And Torino are tycoon rich. As you can see, they have quite a lot of money to throw around, having had a tycoon takeover way back in 2025 now. So 9 years ago, they had their tycoon takeover, and they're still throwing the cash around. Do they actually have anything to show for it? Not really. What a waste of billions of pounds. They should have hired me as manager at some point. I mean, if they want to hire me as manager, I'll win the Champions League with Dortmund this year, and then I'll head to Torino. I loved my trip to Turin last year. I'll go back. This guy can't even win with them. They need a proper manager to come in. We'll worry about Torino in the second half of the episode, though. First up, away against Barcelona, and this is our team. We've got Antonio Carlos in goal, a back four of Gray, Suarez, Caldere, and Schakowski. This is my current preference for making this back four work. You may have noticed that Gray got a 10 out of 10, and I think 4 or 5 assists against Bayern Munich, playing in this role. He does take the corners as well on the right-hand side, the in-swinging corners, so that certainly helps when it comes to the assists. But him and Van Eijsma alongside each other at the base of the midfield is glorious in possession. He is built for that role. I am very glad that we threw all that money at him and brought him in. I don't remember him having long hair when he was at Burton. Maybe he did. Van Eijsma, Bellingham and Ruiz in midfield, although Ruiz is not fully fit, can only play 75 minutes, but he's so good. I mean, look at that season that he's having, that I feel like we probably have to just risk him for a game like this one. And then Emil Hiskey on the left, Herrera on the right, Connor Egan up front. After last year being the year of Big Kev, Hiskey and Egan are back this year. 21 goals between them already compared to Big Kev with his 8. Hiskey has nailed down that left-hand side position, and Connor Egan is very much enjoying playing up front with his old buddy again. It's a nice problem to have, having 3 real elite level strikers in a 1-striker system, and we've somehow managed to keep them all happy for over 2 years now, getting on for 2.5 years. So clearly I'm getting to a decent level. I won't say good, but I am progressing at this squad rotation lark. I think I finally figured it out after all these years. I mean, you can tell by the way the appearances have been distributed throughout the squad when we look on the main squad screen that we really are sharing the appearances around, particularly in the league. And I think it is helping with keeping players fit for these Champions League games. Half an hour in, literally nothing has happened so far. I mean, I guess it's nice that we're cancelling them out. Carrier having to move back out onto the right wing again, I noticed for them. So he is going to be up against Gray. So it's going to be interesting to see how that battle. Presumably he's playing as an inside forward the way we would play him on the right-hand side. I think he's a little bit wasted out wide, though. I think he's a much better bet in central midfield, and it seems a little bit odd that they've pushed him back to a position where he's a little bit less effective. Watch him score in the second half for them now, though. That is half-time, and absolutely nothing happened. Not a single highlight in the first half. I guess in the grand scheme of things, we're happy with a draw away to Barcelona. I think a draw away at Barcelona is always a good result for any club, anywhere, ever. But looking at the league situation, knowing that we've got to head to Torino as well, if Barcelona aren't really showing any attacking intent, we've got to feel like we'd quite like to nick one, maybe from a set piece or something, or maybe they'll just be a highlight at some point. They're playing him as an inverted winger rather than inside forward, which I guess is best for us. Discourage him from shooting. He's too good at it. Right, Emil Hiskey not playing well at all today, so Cessped is going to come on for him. We're also going to take off Bellingham, and we're going to bring on Ayadeli in midfield, because I think I'm probably going to save Big Kev to come on up front with 10 minutes to go. Herrera is going to come off, and Oliveira is going to come on. Van Eijma is tiring as well. Here's me blowing my trumpet about how good I am at squad rotation. And we've got 4 players who are shattered with 20 minutes to go. We're actually going to bring Big Kev on here, I think. Or do we bring on Ilunga? No, we're going to bring on Big Kev. Big Kev alongside Ruiz. Oh, we're not allowed. We've got to take Ruiz off as well. We're doing all 5 substitutions in one go. Right, we will bring on Ilunga. There we go. 5 substitutions in one go. I mean, if that doesn't shake things up and cause a highlight, I don't know what will. Big Kev's going to have to play out of midfield, which is not I really wanted to bring him on up front, but at least we've got his physical presence for the set pieces. But I've never seen a game with so little going on. But here is finally a highlight. Gray to the far post for Big Kev, who nods it down to Suarez. We talked about the Gray corners. We talked about Big Kev from set pieces. And it's a set piece that has led to the first goal of the game, the first highlight of the game. And with 10 minutes to go, it's Barcelona 0, Dortmund 1. This is worlds away from when we played them last year, and they absolutely smashed us. We are a much, much better team now than we were a year ago, and we're showing it today. And if this ends as it is right now, we move up to 4th place, which gets us that step closer to avoiding that horrible playoff round. Ilunga's got a free kick with a couple of minutes of added time left. He sticks this into the top corner. He really starts to push for a first team starting spot. There is the shot from range, but it's just over. Goes behind for a goal kick, and hopefully that's it for highlights now. Barcelona at home in the Champions League did not get a single attacking highlight. I don't think there was a moment in the highlights there where Barcelona touched the ball, which I don't know that I've ever seen that before in all my years playing Football Manager. That is one of the most efficient European performances ever. And we've gone to the Nou Camp and picked up a win. We'll take it every single time. We'll take that. So a few more nice big wins, including that 6-0 win in the Bundesliga, which means we are still just 1 point ahead of Bayern, who, I mean, I don't understand how they're playing as well as they are after we smashed them as convincingly as we did. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when we play them in the reverse fixture later in the season, because I guess they've gotten better since that day, unless I just have got a tactic that perfectly counters them now, which would be very, very handy. On that topic, how are Inter getting on? What are they doing now tactically? Who's their manager? Nagelsmann. And they're playing a flat back 7. How thoroughly boring. We can beat them. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, Torino though, that's who we need to beat today. Just the one change from the team you've just seen. Obviously we've played lots of different players since then, but Big Kev is back in for another start, because you gotta give Big Kev his game time as well. He was the top scorer in this entire competition last year. He was our one player who made it into the Champions League Team of the Year as well. So it would be a little harsh to just drop him completely just because Connor Egan's in good form. And Egan's just scored a whole load of goals in the league at the weekend. So Big Kev can start midweek and we can just rotate them nicely. It's no harm at all being able to just rotate our players. Bellingham with the in-swinger. Looking for Big Kev, who of course does offer that. They offer two different types of threat. Egan, really, really pacey, excellent finisher. Big Kev, though, when you're not creating very much, as we saw against Barcelona, when there's not much going on, Big Kev can be that in a split-second difference maker from a set piece just because he is going to win the vast majority of those headers from those corners because he's so much taller than everybody else. If your goalkeeper's less than about 6'3", they're going to struggle to get their arms as high as his head's going to be full leap. So he's very useful at both ends of the pitch, but it's Ruiz who heads it clear on this occasion, only as far as a Torino player inside the penalty area who tries an audacious overhead kick and misses by about one entire goal's width away from the goal. So that one I feel like is going to be on a little TikTok highlight reel at some point for just being absolutely rubbish. Emil Hiskey's picked up a knock here, so I think we're going to take him off at half time. Obviously, we've got plenty of options to replace him with, so Cessped can come on. We're playing with two wingers. It's very rare for us to play with two wingers. It's one of the reasons why Cessped hasn't really established himself just yet, because I like to have at least one guy cutting in from those wide areas. Although, to be fair, now we're playing as narrow as we are defensively, it probably doesn't hurt to leave two players wide. The having the inverted winger on that side was more of a hangover from when it was Moreira and Van Veen, and Moreira would naturally want to drift in on his right foot, and Van Veen was great bombing on and pushing forward. Whereas with Cessped and Gray, they're completely different kinds of players, and Gray's the one who wants to drift in more. So maybe this way makes a little bit more sense. Right, we're gonna release Bellingham. We're gonna make him a centre mid on attack and just try and get a goal out of him. Big Kev also not playing very well, so Connor Egan can come on. 20 minutes to go. It's the last thing the Torino defence want to see. Connor Egan running at them with Jude Bellingham being given that licence to get a little bit further forward and support him as well. So fingers crossed we can find a goal from somewhere. I tell you what, for all the goals we scored domestically, there's not been very much in the way of highlights in these two Champions League matches, has there? Blimey. Let's make our last couple of changes. I'm tempted to bring Pereira on and go full wing backs for the last 10 minutes just to see if we can create something. I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll play Gray as a complete wing back. Ferreira can play as a wingy wing back. And then we're also going to take off Van Eijsma. Fontanils can come on for him. In fact, we're going to bring Ilunga on for him and drop Ayadeli back. Where is he? Ilunga. And then we're just going to... Bellingham got a couple of minutes. He got like 10 minutes playing in that role, but now Ilunga just suits it better, and I want to get him up into those attacking areas, supporting Egan. And I mean, we'd have certainly, we've got into this episode, we would be happy with 4 points from these two matches. I probably would have expected them to happen the other way around, but it's not the end of the world, although we have been the much better team on XG. Are we going to grab another late winner? If we start mastering late winners in the Champions League, this might just be our year. Suarez plays it forward to Bellingham. Lovely touch from Bellingham. I don't know how he's come away with the ball there, and Bellingham scores. And that was wonder. I mean, he's had a big piece of help from a deflection. But that original control from Bellingham just took two Torino players out of the game and created him so much space. This is why he is an elite level player. It wasn't even his touch. It was a tackle. Either way, it's a good goal, isn't it? Bellingham scores. I'm still going to claim it was a lovely Bellingham touch, and I'm not even going to be embarrassed by it. That's two late goals in two Champions League games. Two very Champions League-y 1-0 away wins. That is hugely important. After the shock of the defeat against Fiorentina not so long ago, to come into those two matches and pick up two wins against two of our former players as well, because Dukic, of course, in the Torino team, and Carrillo is in the Barcelona team. They are two big results. We are now joint top with 2 games to go. It's exactly where we want to be. Those 2 remaining Champions League games are against Lyon and Rangers. They'll probably be the next episode because it also ties into the January transfer window. So not that I'm expecting to do a lot in January. We've not really got a lot to spend because we're overdrawn. The board have actually taken a little bit of transfer budget off of me. But we weren't expecting to do very much last January. And then we had 2 defenders basically walk out on us. And we have got a couple of players who want to leave, Ayadeli, Fontanils, and there's a few players who want to go out on loan. So there might be players leaving, and if players leave, we might end up having to do some business. So we may have some business to show you in the next episode as well. But for now, if you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.